Well, good morning. Good, beautiful Wednesday morning. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and we will be glad in it. See, rejoicing is always a choice. Rejoicing in the day is always a choice. We make that choice the moment we open our eyes. If when we open our eyes we are groaning, then the day is going to probably not go very well. If we open our eyes with rejoicing, the day is going to probably go much better than had we opened our eyes with groaning. Today I want to start a 2-week series. The first one will come out of Psalm 50, verses 14 and 15. Psalm 50, verses 14 and 15. And we're going to talk about Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is only a few short days away, and we need to be prepared for it properly. Let's read together. It says, "Offer to God thanksgiving, and pay your vows to the Most High. Call upon me," and when you see that "me," there's a big M there, so we know that's God. "Call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver you, and you shall glorify me." Now, this is a beautiful verse. This is a beautiful verse. In fact, if you have not read all of Psalm 50, I would encourage you to do so. But in these verses, what we find is a reference to Thanksgiving. See, Thanksgiving is upon us, and if what we are doing is we are basing our Thanksgiving on when the kids are behaving and when the job is going well and when there's enough money in the account, and when the parents are healthy, and when our friends are feeling good, and when the house is warm, and when the car is running well. Well, if we are basing our Thanksgiving to an eternal God based on a changing world, then we are going to struggle. We're going to struggle with that Thanksgiving. Why? Because the world is always changing. There is never a time that the world has not been changing. Think back about your own life and the way that things have changed over just the period of time that you've been here. And God is eternal, and God has seen it from the beginning, and He will see it to the end. So it's very important that we base our Thanksgiving on eternal things, on God's eternal goodness, on God's eternal love. Our gratitude must be on God's eternal salvation, on His eternal mercy, on His eternal grace. Those are the things we base our gratitude on. See, if what we are doing is basing it on the world, then we don't have to be surprised when our attitude is whipping like a flag in the wind of a hurricane. We don't have to be surprised at that, because what is happening is we are basing gratitude to God on something that never stays the same. Instead, we must base it on what remains eternal. In the verse, it says, "Offer to God thanksgiving." What does that tell us? It tells us to offer freely, right? Tells us to offer freely, not to feel like we are beholden, but that we must offer it freely. That shows a happiness and a contentedness in our life. See, we must base our thanksgiving not on the when, but on the now. Not on the when, but on the now. Whatever is happening right now in your life, that is what we need to be thankful for. And I know sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's very difficult because situations are very difficult. But that does not mean that we stop being grateful to God. That means that we are grateful to God, but then we will learn something later on. He says, "And pay your vows to the Most High." Well, what are our vows? Well, our vows come out of Romans, I believe it's 12:1, where we are told that our reasonable service to God is to give our bodies a living sacrifice. That's our reasonable service. And when you look into those words, what you find out is those reasonable service actually means logical worship. So we find that our logical worship is to give ourselves to God completely so that He can then use us. God in verse 15 says, "Call upon me in the day of trouble." Now, we have been grateful to Him throughout. We have been grateful to Him consistently. We have been paying our vows consistently. We have been serving Him consistently. Do you hear how we're building toward where He says, call upon me in the day of trouble? And what does He tell us? He says, I will deliver you. I will deliver you. I will bring you out of that day of trouble, and you shall then glorify me. So, do you see how that circle works there? We offer God thanksgiving based on His eternal characteristics. We are serving Him as reasonable, logical worship to Him. We are giving our total selves to Him. We are loving Him with all of our heart, all of our mind, all of our soul, all of our body, so that He knows that we are there with Him. Then, because of those things, we call upon Him in the day of trouble, and then He delivers us. But then look what happens. He says, and you shall glorify me. Well, what is glorifying Him? Well, it's praising Him. Well, what is praising Him? It's being grateful to Him. Well, what is being grateful to Him? It's thanksgiving, right? So in those verses, we see a circle where we call upon the Lord. He delivers us. We begin to glorify Him, and we offer Him thanksgiving. We pay our vows through service, and the circle continues. But we must be focused on serving God, and the only way to serve God here on earth is to serve one another. I want you to be encouraged today. I want to tell you that coming up to Thanksgiving, I want you to shift your focus if you haven't already. If you haven't already, I want you to shift your focus and thank God based on the eternal things, based on what He is doing for us, His eternal characteristics. Thank Him in the now, not when something works out, but now, right this very second. Thank Him. Be grateful to Him for what you have right at this very moment, and serve Him. He will deliver you from the day of trouble, and then you will in turn glorify Him again for His eternal characteristics. I want you to be encouraged today. I pray for you. I know you pray for me. I hope that your week will go fabulous from here, and that you will have a great week running up to Thanksgiving. Of course, next Wednesday will be the day before Thanksgiving. So spend this week thanking God for all of His eternal characteristics, His eternal mercy, His eternal goodness. I pray for you. I pray for this nation. I pray for our leaders. I know you pray for me. Have a great week, and I will see you next week.